Now we do have a viewer comment here. You guys mentioned businesses being able to invest and do well.
Yeah.
Alberta, my home here says, I know your guests are probably going to mention this, but I know you guys are probably going to mention this, but businesses will save a lot of money by having lower matching pension contributions. This is seldom mentioned. Can you touch on that?
Yeah. So because of Alberta's demographic advantage, we can either cut contribution rates with our own APP and maintain pension checks where they are. Because remember, if the checks go down, we can't have the APP. Or we can maintain contribution rates as they are today and increase the pension checks for seniors. Now, it's up to Albertans to decide what they'd like. Maybe they take a hybrid approach or something. But nevertheless, if you decide to cut contribution rates, then not only are your individual contribution rates cut, but the business's contribution rates, which match the employees' contribution rates, are also cut. So let's just take a simple example, just for ease of mathematics. Let's suppose that an employee contributes $100 to the CPP every month. And his employer does the same, because that's the rule. So he contributes $100 and his employer contributes $100 to the CPP every month. Now you move to an APP. And because of our demographic advantage, an APP cuts contribution rates. And let's say it cuts them by 40%, which is a possibility. That's not an outrageous claim to make. So that means your contribution rates dollars are now only $60 a month, and the business as well is only $60 a month. Now, that's a lot of saving for one individual. But what about if you have a team of 10 individuals? That's $400, right? That's a lot of money. And on its own, that's a lot. But when you add in opportunity cost, you can invest that $400. You can use it for this or that or the other thing. You can expand your business faster. Who knows what it might be? The saving is so much larger than what initially meets the eye.
Yeah, even bumping up wages, right?
Yeah, of course. If that's what's desired, yes.
So what would you, I guess, as far as your understanding, what would you say the numbers are, as least proposed, kind of bigger picture? If we go to an Alberta pension plan, if we snapped our fingers and today we're in an APP, what would that look like numbers wise, maybe on a micro level for an independent business or individual, maybe then the business, and then what would it look like as a province as a whole?
Sure. You want to start, Nicole?
No, go ahead.
Okay, sure, I can. So there's a few different points to touch on. Firstly, the first change we would see is the asset pile. So the Canadian Pension Plan Investing Board takes whatever money is left over after all seniors in the country have been paid every year, and it invests that leftover money. It's some few billions of dollars every year. Now, that investment over the last 25-ish years has been built up into this large investment pile, and it's about $600 billion large. Now, because Alberta has contributed to that pile, that is because Alberta's contributions were used to invest to therefore create that pile, Alberta is owed a share of that massive $600 billion pile. Now, the question is, how much is Alberta owed? LifeWorks says it's about $334 billion. Trevor Toombs says it's 120 or 130-ish, somewhere in there, billion dollars. It's some number. I myself tend to take the approach of 334. I think that number is accurate, but nevertheless, we're owed a lot of money. Let's suppose, just for the example, it is $334 billion, okay? So that gets transferred to an Alberta pension plan. That can just sit there, that pile, and earn interest over the next how many years to increase its size dramatically, which is a good thing. So that in itself is one point. Now, what about the same? Let's suppose we decide to not touch the size of pension checks, but rather keep them equal with what the Canadian pension plan was. Okay. Again, because Alberta has a demographic advantage, it allows us to dramatically reduce the contribution rates for Albertans, working Albertans in the province. It is not exaggeration to say that Albertans, individual Albertans, could save $1,000 every year in saved contribution rates. And of course, that's also true for the business. So you have an individual who is paying right now, let's say just again, this is just for ease of example. Let's say it's 10 grand into the Canadian pension plan. That's just an easy number. Let's suppose it's 10 grand with a CPP. He goes to an APP. It's realistic that he drops from $10,000 in the contribution rate to $9,000. Now that's a big saving. $1,000 is a lot of money in this economy, but it's so much more money when you think what you could do with that $1,000. Each year you can invest it, and you invest $1,000 in the first year, in the second year, in the third year, in the fourth and fifth and 10th and 20th and 30th year, so that when you retire, you have at your disposal hundreds of thousands of dollars that wouldn't otherwise be available to you, that would have otherwise been used to feed that massive, or federal machine. So even just that alone demonstrates the benefit with an Alberta pension plan. You could, even if you wanted to, and I'm not saying you would do this, but theoretically you could give seniors a pretty substantial payout, so to say, this big asset pile, because the surplus with Alberta is so large, it's so massive that you could give seniors a lot of it back in a lump sum payment without damaging sustainability or security of the pension plan. Again, that's up to Albertans to decide, but nevertheless, the economic benefits are huge, massive.